Welcome to BCA Center's virtual curator tour of Brigitta Varadi's Exploring the Invisible. I'm Heather Ferrell, BCA's Curator and Director of Exhibitions. Brigitta Varadi is a multimedia artist whose work centers on tradition, craft, and the everyday rituals of working life. Born in Budapest, Hungary, Brigitta has traveled and lived throughout Europe and most recently has settled in the United States, where she lives in Pine Plains, New York. I first met Brigitta in 2017 at New York City's Spring Break Art Fair. We made an immediate connection with our shared passion for the intersection of contemporary art, craft, and cultural heritage. Let's begin our virtual tour of Brigitta's exhibition in BCA Center's second floor gallery. Exploring the Invisible features a room-size installation of nearly 2,000 ceramic tiles and 19 felted wool panels made by the artists, as well as 2 additional video components. Let's begin with the large circular platform of stacked handmade tiles or fragments recollected. These tiles were created by the artists and more than 200 volunteers who worked with Brigitta at Shelburne Farms last July and during her 6-month residency at the MAD, the Museum of Art and Design in New York. In 2019, BCA invited Brigitta as a partnership with Shelburne Farms to visit several times over the year as our artist in residence, where she interviewed staff, members of the Webb family, and researched the site's rich history and sustainable farming practices. She was particularly drawn to the personal stories interwoven with the site, as well as a recent event in which volunteers worked tirelessly in the restoration of the historic industrial tiles found at the inn at Shelburne Farms. An important aspect of Brigitta's art making is her focus on research. With each project, she undertakes countless hours of conversations, interviews, archive research, and experimentation with materials, all in the pursuit to rediscover lost craft traditions and their stories. Expanding on her research of Shelburne Farms' past history and its current mission to nurture a sustainable future, she discovered on the farm a source of natural clay that could be used to fashion handmade tiles inspired by those conserved at the inn. Last July, she held a series of workshops at Shelburne Farms where she led community members in creating these handmade tiles as she engaged them in conversations on sustainability and cultural heritage. For months following the workshop, she continued to make these molded tiles in her studio, as well as during her residency at the MAD, contrasting the experiences and perceptions of urban dwellers, local Vermonters, as well as tourists. One specifically poetic element in the tiles creation is the use of cottonwood ash glaze, which was sourced from the aging, decayed cottonwood trees the farm had to fell in late 2018. Although they had lived well beyond their 100-year lifespan, through Brigitta's glazing, they were repurposed to tell future stories of a land in this community-based project. It's also important to note that Brigitta is not a potter. As with all of her projects, she researched her subject, then taught herself how to process, form, and fire clay for the first time, although, admittedly, while working closely with her partner, Peter, a noted ceramicist. On the south and west wall of the gallery is the work Enshrined, featuring 19 felted raw wool panels made from the wool of Navajo Churro sheep sourced from Shelburne Farms. The minimalism of Brigitta's simple panels and the rawness of her materials belies an intensively laborious process. The felting method is based on a traditional Kyrgyzstani technique she learned in her late teens and over the years has developed into a signature working method for her creative practice. It can take weeks for Brigitta to produce a single panel. Instilled with a meditative rhythm, each panel captures the repetition of her gesture, a gesture made several thousand times as she washes, rolls, and felts the wool to create its sensuous textures. Exploring the Invisible was an immense undertaking, both physically and mentally, for the artist, one of the largest for her to date, as it included 2 labor-intensive processes, felting and ceramics. Brigitta described how she pushed the physical limitations of her body with the physicality of this work, bringing together ideas of craft as well as performance. This sense of performance is captured in the eponymous single-channel video Exploring the Invisible. In the 16-minute black and white film, Brigitta went deeper and deeper into the act of making. Here we can experience with the artist the repetitive and meditative nature of process as she kneads the clay with her bare feet, forms and dries the tiles before she fires, cools, and repeats the process again. The video is also minimal and poetic. It engages the viewer through its mesmerizing repetition and gesture and pushes us to decode what we see. For Brigitta, she hopes to awaken forgotten memories within us, as well as demonstrate the depth of knowledge transmitted through the act of labor. By interweaving notions of fine art and craft, labor and heritage, Brigitta Varadi, Exploring the Invisible, connects us to the importance of past traditions in an era of mass production and global economies. BCA is especially appreciative of the support and partnership with Shelburne Farms for Brigitta's residency, as well as the support of the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Vermont Arts Council. You can find Exploring the Invisible's virtual tours and watch the single channel video on BCA's exhibition page. Thank you.